Hi, I am Kate. I am a notary public. This video is for all the new notaries who wish to commence attesting deeds. First of all, I have to tell you that if you have recently taken oaths as a notary, you have stepped into a very responsible job. As a notary, you have to be responsible and answerable to your client who seeks your support in executing a deed. In this video, I will give few tips that you can follow when attesting a deed of transfer in Sri Lanka. Number 1. Carry out a title search to check whether there is a clear chain of title. It is the responsibility of a notary to do a proper title search and obtain relevant extracts from the land registry in which the land is situated. If there are no encumbrances and if the seller is the lawful owner of the land, the notary may draw up a pedigree and prepare a title report recommending the title of the respective land. However, there is no mandatory rule that a title search should be done before the transfer of the land. So if a client asks you not to do a title search, then you may write at the top of the deed the word search dispensed with and also obtain a written document from the buyer with his instructions. Number 2. Check the identity of the seller. It is really important to confirm the identity of the seller. The notary should keep a copy of the national identity card of the seller and make sure the ID belongs to the person in possession. If there is even a slight suspicion as to the identity of the seller, the notary must investigate further and, only if the identity is confirmed, proceed with the transaction. Number 3. Never attest a deed without checking the original title deed. Often clients may come to you only with a copy of the original title deed. However, make sure that you check whether it is a true copy by referring to the original deed itself. If a client says that he has lost the original and only has a copy of the deed, then ask him to bring a certified copy from the land registry of the notary who has attested the original deed. In this way you can avoid many fraudulent transactions happening. Number 4. It is mandatory to insert the full name, address and the NIC number or the passport number of the executants in the deed. Make sure you put the full name and not just the initials or the first name of the executant. Also include the residential address as stated in the NIC of the executant. If he or she is living abroad, or at a different address at the time of execution of the deed, it is better to include both the addresses in the deed. Number 5. Use 2 people who are known to the executant as the subscribing witnesses. According to the notary's ordinance, the rule is that either the notary or the 2 witnesses should know the executant. However, in today's context, even if the executant is not personally known to the notary, if he has checked the identity of the executant, it is considered that the notary knows the executant. Nevertheless, there is no problem whatsoever if you ask the seller who signs the deed to bring 2 of his or her relatives to sign as the subscribing witnesses. Make sure the witnesses know the proper name, address and occupation of the executants. Also keep copies of their NIC cards and include their details in the attestation. Number 6. If an executant or a subscribing witness signs in a language other than the language in which the notary is authorized to practice, then the notary shall write over such sign as, "This is the sign of A." If a person cannot sign and makes a mark instead, the notary shall ask such person to affix his left thumb impression, and the notary shall once again write over such mark, "This is the left thumb impression of A." It is important to remember that the thumb impression alone without a mark is not valid as a sign. Usually a cross mark is to be drawn first by the person who affixes the thumb impression. Number 7. The executant's witnesses and the notary should sign at the same place and on the same time in the presence of one another. To prove that this requirement has been followed in executing the deed, the notary shall take photos or video clips at the time of signing. And also you can ask the parties to sign with the same pen. It is important to note that a notary can attest a deed of a property located at any place within Sri Lanka, but he or she cannot go out of the judicial zone in which he is authorized to practice in order to attest a deed. Number 8. The stamp duty opinion could be obtained after evaluation of the property from the Department of Revenue of the relevant provincial council. Make sure you pay the stamp duty within 7 days of executing the deed. The stamp duty for a deed of transfer can be calculated using this formula. Total consideration multiplied by 4% minus 1,000 rupees You can pay the stamp duty to any branch of Bank of Ceylon, and then paste the receipt on the duplicate deed before sending it to the notary's land registry. Number 9. When paying consideration, ask the buyer to pay the money through a bank draft. Unlike a check, there's no risk of a bank draft getting bounced. Therefore, the seller's interests are also secured. Moreover, the anti-money laundering laws discourage the passing of money from hand to hand when the source of money is unknown. Therefore, passing consideration through a bank draft is always advisable. Number 10. Maintain an instruction book. Include all the instructions received by your client in his own handwriting in a book and get it signed. You can keep this for future reference. For example, if your client wants you to attest a deed without first carrying out a title search, then you may ask him to write his instructions in the instruction book and get it signed by him. In this way, you can avoid any probable future allegations against you. However, remember that you are not supposed to follow your client's instructions if it is contradictory to any legal requirement. These are few of the tips that you may practically follow in attesting a deed of transfer. Let's meet up again with another video with some more tips for notaries. Until then, if you have any questions or more helpful tips to share, please comment below.